You're live.
We're live. Okay, welcome everybody tonight to our June workshop meeting. Before we get started, we have our entire town board with us tonight. We have Stephen Moreau, we have Stephen Bedetti, we have Sylvia Santiago and Eve Lincoln. We also have our town clerk in attendance, our receiver of taxes, Susan Scheibel. Our town clerk is Kelly Legro, by the way. And I see Dave Zagon is there, our town attorney. And on the switch is Danielle. Oh, and Matt Furniss, our recreation director, is online too. Nice to see you, Matt. All right, let's get started. The first item on the agenda is the Simone Group. That's the group who bought Stewart Airport from the town or bought some of the property out there. So there's been a long lag. We're not sure what they were doing. So we kind of asked them to come in. And the guy we were dealing with is no longer involved. And the bosses from Simone came in and we had a conversation with them, myself, Dave, I think Jennifer was here and Jessica. And the long and the short of it is that COVID really messed up their plans. They had some big plans for a hotel and some medical facilities going out there, and everything just seemed to drop off with COVID. No one seems to be going to work anymore at some of these office buildings, and that's also a problem. A lot of people are working remotely. So their question to us was, what would we like to see out there? Well, we would like to see what we talked about at the beginning, but at this point in time, they made a little presentation that they think they might have some warehouses on the line. So I think what we told them was that we think if there are any warehouses in the Windsor, that is probably the right location on the airport because they can hit 84, they can hit the freeway, they can hit that 797 road, and they can get out without coming on our local roads. So that was the basis for the discussion. And they didn't propose anything. They just said, okay, they're gonna go back and come back to us again with what some of their proposals are. But I think that it's almost like it's been land bank now for all of these years. So if that's what it has to be, that's what it has to be. No one likes the traffic, but once again, if there is that kind of development, that's the right place for it. So that's what that meeting was about. But now we have some new contacts out there, and we did see the bosses, so that was reassuring that we saw who wrote the checks. I think if they, in hindsight, if they would have seen what happened, they would have never wrote the checks. But right now they own the land and that's, I just wanted to bring it up to date. There's not a lot of specific information, just to tell you though, what that meeting was about.
Did they have a timetable? I'm sorry.
No.
They know.
They're gonna get back to us, like I
Okay,
said,
they're
I mean,
gonna-
they're just kind
Let us
of,
know.
wanted to make sure that we weren't gonna take a hard line on some things, and we were like, well, and as you all know, when we did the comprehensive master plan, we kind of said that at the airport. Let's kind of leave a little wide open to see, maybe they can do whatever they want to do, as long as we think it looks like it's something the town could live with.
I just think, I mean, for me, I think the biggest thing out there is gonna be our infrastructure, our sewer and water.
They know
That's a
about it,
Huge
yeah.
concern,
Yeah,
and
they know about it,
if there, there's a lot of upgrades that needs to be done out there.
and that's on them.
Yeah, right.
That was part of the deal when they made the deal. All right, the next item on the agenda is this night class. I think you all remember when we hosted that Association of Towns meeting, we had the presentation by that fella from night class. And he came across pretty good, and I spoke to a couple other supervisors who were there that night, and they use them. And their rates are very good. They're very competitive. So Doreen and I were talking about, we have some of this money invested, and a lot of it's invested with this night lab, which is just almost the same as night class. So what Doreen's been looking at, and we kind of came up with some, we'll get back to the board when we finalize it, but we'd like to put some of our money into this night class, so we don't have it all in one spot, right? And we're getting a very good rate from NILAF, it's NYLAF, but we're getting the same rate, or maybe even a little better from night class. So the numbers are not set yet, but I just wanted to let you know that we kind of think it's a little more prudent to not have everything in one basket because the rates are so high. These people now have pretty much the same rate, so we're thinking we're gonna move some, and we have some substantial money in some of our accounts that earn a lot of interest now. As most of you know, the interest rates have gone way up, and we're doing very well in interest rates. So we just would like to spread it around a little bit. And we saw these bank failures, and we don't suspect these people failing, but it's a good idea to kind of move your stuff around and have it in different places.
I spoke to Dorian briefly
Yeah.
today. That idle money that she was talking about there is between 3 and 5 million.
Yeah, that's, I just talked to her now, that's what the
Yeah,
number is. So
she
we're
was-
also gonna put half
And she
of,
was talking about dumping some of the other money to make it even.
so let's just say there's 10 things in my left, so we're talking about putting five, and there's another 3 to 5 million that we have that we would like to invest in these new rates. So she's gonna work something up and then we'll kind of get going. The next item on the agenda, remember we had that group come in, the citizens audit, and they talked about the voting and a lot of things that I'm not too sure that we have much sway in anybody, but I've sent it over to the attorney's office for an opinion. And I think we've been pretty much backed up in that attorney's office. So lately, we have a lot of stuff going on. We have to be very careful with some things. We're looking at that transportation thing in this project down the street. So David, when you're looking at this, I'm suggesting that you give the Board of Elections a call to in Orange County, see if they have anything to add to this before we make any decisions. I know some towns have tabled it, and I know at least one or two towns have kind of decided not to do anything. So I just like to gather all the information so we give it to the board before, so we can make an informed decision on this. So I
Did you
just,
get the new stuff today, Dave? It was a new, okay.
yeah, we did good. I sent it to everybody.
Another one here.
Yes. So, like I said, just like to be sure before we do anything on this. Okay, the next item on the agenda, I got a call from Gil Pequato, who's a supervisor over in the town of Newburgh. And he asked if we would do a resolution. They're trying to put a landfill in Plattekill, which could have some runoff into Chadwick Lake, which is one of their water supplies. And also on our end, it, when we take water from them, we would be taking some water from Chadwick Lake too. So I said that I would run it by you guys, and I've asked Dave and Jess to put together a resolution that we can look at next month to go on. And I started reading a little bit of it today. It looked also to me a little like it runs towards that Crusade Creek too. So I think that, I told Jess today that it's not a rush, we're a little backed up with this on Wednesday's agenda. So I think that we'll kind of probably propose that resolution. Looks like something we should do since we do use Newburgh water when we had the aqueduct shut down.
Could we, yeah, not to bring up, give you more work, the Indian Point resolution that we were talking about as well, are we gonna do that next month maybe, or?
Yeah, I talked to you about that, didn't I?
Next month or what?
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe next month we can do
Yeah.
it? All right, so
Okay, next item on the agenda is, I sent everybody a copy. Newback is looking to do something for some of their members who passed away, and also they like to get a little area for their staff where they could have some lunch. So I had a quick conversation with Mike today, and I need to get him and Keith Vedetti and our building and grounds guys, because Keith and some of his board will do some of the work. As it looks right now, they're looking for around 8,000, but I'm not sure that that's the number. I think we might be able to cut that down a little bit. Listen, they do a great job, and yeah, we do fund them, and they just saved the guy's life the other night. He got on Knox. He was actually, a guy was in a lot of trouble. He died in the ambulance. They brought him back, and now he's been discharged to the hospital. So I want Keith to take a look at what they want to do. One of the things he talked to me briefly about today, one of the areas they want to do is not big enough for what they want to do. So I don't want to rush into this. I want to make sure that whatever amount of money that I come to you with, that it's be well spent. But right now, the number looks like it's around 8,000, but I think with my quick conversation with Keith today, they may have to move that to another area.
you know, it's actually a good idea. I know both fire departments have the
Yeah.
same type, you know, like for them to decompress after either a major incident or just, you know, to get away from it. It's actually a really good idea to do this.
Yeah, so I said that we would kind of look at it favorably once I was sure what we were looking at. Our next item is the Windsor Police Department. Listen, everybody knows Wednesday at 12 noon, there's a little memorial coming up for Detective Machete who died. And the PBA has got together and they're gonna do a quick ceremony for him right up behind the police station. I asked Doreen to look at the police department, what's gone on in the last since 2020. So we've had 10 officers retire. We had 3 retire in 2020. We had 4 retire in 2021. And we've had, I'm sorry, let me back up. We had 3 retire in 21. We had 4 retire in 2022. And so far this year, we've had 3 retire. So we've had a chief retire, a deputy chief, some detectives, a patrolman, and these people had some longevity here, you know, 25, 35 years. They were here a long time. And they had, some of them got some other jobs, and 1 or 2 moved out of the area. So we were at 50, and now we're kind of down to 38. We have 2 who are out on extended sick leave. They've been out for a while. Looks to me like they will be out for a while. So Orange County just recently gave a written test for police officers. That's how we hire police officers off the county list. And it took them a little bit of a while to get the list out, but the list finally came out. So there's not a lot of people on the list, and almost every department in Orange County is looking for people. So we jumped on it right away. We sent some letters out to some people about interviews the first day that the list came out. And we have, at this point, kind of interviewed 50 people already for the jobs. Now, as you all know, we authorized them hiring 7 new police officers for 2023. There's 3 or 4 of these officers are currently employed by police departments, which would mean we wouldn't have to wait for them to go through the academy. You hire somebody brand new, they have to go through the police academy. Unfortunately, the police academy is not even scheduled yet. If it's going to be scheduled, looks to me like it'd be sometime September, October. You go 6 months out from there before you see anybody. So if we could hire some of these people who are already police officers, we're doing the backgrounds now. So as we all know, we wait for a recommendation from the department head. In this case would be Chief Valaire and his people to see who they want to hire. People are anxious to come to this police department. It's described to me as this is the Yankees here. I think it's, our contract is very good. We always make sure that our officers have the equipment to do their job and to get them home safely. We do not cut any corners with equipment and training, and we never miss a training opportunity. We just came up with some new vests for the police officers, both of us, new cars, body cams we bought, which is good for them and good for the general public. It eliminates a lot of that he said, she said stuff, and it's already helped us a few times. We have also put a new canine officer out on the street. He's the canine and his handler into the second round of training. I think it's a bomb thing. What are they doing? You know? Yeah, so they're explosives training. So that's the reason that we got down. No one cut anything. These guys retired, and just so you know, the buyouts for these 10 people were over $800,000. So there's a very good contract. And if you reach a certain point when you're at a department, you're working for hardly nothing, you know. And their retirement is very good, and that's why they left. Listen, and I always tell them when they leave, you've done a good job. You left it better than you found it. And that's what we expect of the people who will come on. But we are definitely in the market to hire 7 new police officers, which will take us up to 47, and those 2 guys out will be 45. So I think that's more the right number for here. But anybody who says that we don't take care of these cops is not paying attention. We have never, ever gotten a complaint from the PBA about the training or equipment that they need to do their job. And everybody's very supportive of them. I mean, we did a committee that Sylvia was on, and we did the police reform that the governor did, and we had nothing but good comments about the police department. We very, very rarely, if ever, get complaints. We do get complaints about officers, and we investigate them, and from time to time, there is a problem, and we take action. And I just think that we need to get some more people on the street because these people retired, and I don't blame them for retiring. When you look at some of their retirement numbers, they're very, very good, very high.
I know we're gonna hire 7.
Mhm.
There's 2 other guys I believe are slated to retire this year as well.
I think there's 3.
We're gonna fill them as well, I hope.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
so
what's the problem?
I
You
know
got,
candidates, like,
yeah, right.
and having new people on the street and, having all at once, but I mean, as long as we're not gonna lose them, there's spots, because even the 2 guys that are out in long term could essentially settle their cases and be out. And
Yeah, I think they will go out. Listen, there's actually 3 of them who have indicated to the chief and myself that they are retiring. One has given us a date, it was out in August. Then there's 2 others who told us that they're retiring. So, listen, I mean, we're very fortunate that there's still people interested in police work, because it's a very difficult job today. Anybody who doesn't think it is not paying attention. I mean, everybody's got a cell phone, everybody knows all their rights, and, it's, the laws are really working against them, and that's why we moved very quickly. We were probably one of the first departments in Orange County to get those body cams, because we realized what was going on. And the PBA was 100% in favor of getting them as quickly as we could get. And we did. We got it very quickly. As soon as it came out, we were on it. And we're very fortunate that we had lots and lots of money donated towards those body cams. And it didn't cost the taxpayers much money at all, if anything. So that's where we are with the police department. I mean, the list, it looks to me, they're gonna have to give another test pretty quick here, because the list was not that long. And I was very much in favor of just hiring people who lived in New Windsor. So I wanted to do that, and then the chief and his two lieutenants came down and said, listen, if we ask for that list, then we can't get the full list. So we think maybe we should do that. So, okay, I listened. So we called for the full list. When I looked at the full list, there was 7 New Windsor people on it. So we would have really been in a bind. So I'm glad that they brought that to my attention and we called for the whole list. But this list is going to be eaten up very quickly. There was some talk that some of the people who failed the agility test by a little bit, meaning that if you had to do 30 push-ups and you did 27 or 28, they may give you another chance. We haven't heard more than that. Or the run, it's a 12-minute run. If it took you 12:50 to run, they might give you another chance to do it in 12. But we haven't seen that come into play yet. So we do know there's a couple of people that we know that just failed by 1 or 2 sit-ups or a push-up. But this list is very sparse, and I think it's because of this anti-police feeling that's out there, and it's certainly not here. Our residents are very much in favor of our police officers. I hear it day in and day out, and I've never come to the board with anything for the police department where they've said no. I hope that the PBA is not listening to all of this, right? They'll be in here tomorrow looking for more stuff, but we have been very supportive of them, and rightfully so, because they do a good job for us, and the residents feel safe. I very rarely ever get a call about people not safe. So that's my story on the police. So I just want to bring everybody up to date on it. Okay, I had asked Matt Veronese a little while ago to put together a long-range plan for the recreation department, which he did. He put together a long plan for us, a long-range plan. And then Quinn Malarkey, who works for Goey House Echo, came up with a grant that she came across with a 50% match. And we're going to put in for this grant. And I think 2 things that we were kind of looking at were the pickleball, a permanent pickleball. And what was the other one, Matt?
Basketball courts.
Yeah, people keep talking about basketball out at Chrissy Babcock Park. So those are things that I think will be covered by the grant. But then there's some other things in here that Matt has listed, and Eve has always talked about the splash pads. He covered that in here. He covered the a lot of stuff with batting cages and things like that. But I think that the board needs to kind of look at this and decide in what direction that we want to go here. You can't do everything. There's no question about that. All right. So there's only certain things. This, Stephen, with the pickleball, been very successful when you go to look at that. There was just 8 people that I know. I drove by. So we definitely need a truly dedicated pickleball court, which we're kind of looking at Chrissy Babcock Park. And I think you've been working with who's been out there?
Yeah, with we.
Okay. So that looks, and the basketball, I keep hearing about basketball at Chrissy Babcock Park. So I think that's something that we should look at with this grant. So we would be a 50% match, but whatever those 2 would be, would only cost the town half. It's about $485,000 in the recreation parkland funds, so there's not a lot of money there. Once people start building again, that probably will be built up, but everything seems to be not as great as people make it out to be. I just saw the mortgage tax thing come in today. It wasn't great.
No.
So things are definitely slowing down, which I think Steve Moreau can attest to. He's in that business, that it's not really, everything's not going great. So I guess anybody has any comments about this long range plan, we can put it on a table, but I think at some point in time, everybody's gonna have to put down what they want to do. Now, Matt, on this splash pad thing, you still waiting to get the new prices from that guy?
Just emailed the both groups again. I don't,
Can you
can you hear me?
hold on, Matt?
Oh,
I heard what he said. He said
Yeah.
because I've been talking to him about it.
Okay.
He emailed again today for an updated price, but if you recall last year, there was 3 different sizes
Yeah.
and it was anywhere between 100 and 200K, depending on what size you want.
Mhm.
And so that was the price last year. And then if you do want to recycle the water, which I know I don't advocate for at
Yeah,
this
right.
point, that's about another 100K for that treatment site. So it's probably somewhere still.
Does he have the
between-
prices now?
No, he doesn't have the today's prices because they didn't write him back yet,
Okay.
but that's
So
what
I'm still waiting on that, George. But I know City of Newburgh just did 2 small ones, and two were 247,000 total.
So they were 125 apiece?
Mhm.
Okay.
And they don't.
They're smaller ones, you know, they're smaller.
They're not recycling, right?
Correct, they're go to waste.
Okay.
Most people don't
Yeah.
recycle the water. I'm just
I'm thinking it would probably cost us to recycle probably 300,000 for what we're looking for.
Mhm.
If we don't, probably, probably like,
If we didn't
200.
recycle, it'd be 125?
No, we would go bigger than Newburgh, so it would probably be, 200,000 for the size we want. But if we recycled, it'd probably be 300,000.
All right, so listen, if you get those prices, get them up to me.
Okay, we'll do.
So I get them around, and then I'll kind of poll the board members and see where they want to go.
Okay.
I don't know, I'll throw it out there. What do you guys think about maybe some sort of, I don't know, what this long-term plan, maybe some sort of committee with a couple citizens or some involvement from the citizens to, maybe give some input on some things, because obviously everything here, which would be nice to have all of it, is gonna be costly. The land, I think that we're looking to put some of this stuff is not cleared, so I think there's a whole lot that needs to be put into that. Of that 75 acres, I know there's a chunk of it that's wetlands. So obviously engineering costs and when it comes down to it, I think, all these projects they look great now, but we know they're gonna be a lot more when it comes down to it.
I was gonna
I'm not
recommend,
against any of
yeah,
this.
no, I agree with you 100%. I was gonna ask, because I know, didn't the engineers, have a previous plan that we were gonna try to look at and try to build? So if we could try to merge those two, I know they were gonna relook at it again and see if whether some of these ideas were feasible or not of what they originally planned.
Mhm.
But let's take a look and make a plan, say, okay, if these are the 10 things we, are our goal, not immediately, and this is the footprint that we make for it, then maybe, each year we could build on it depending upon the situations and so forth, and give things priority.
Yeah,
I
definitely. I mean,
definitely
I know
agree.
there's part of the park lot out there,
Yep.
looks like it's sinking because of some stuff, so I think if it's a bigger to do, I know that, I believe the town Newburgh is doing some like $10 million project out at their park out there, or something. I really gotta look at it, if it's a gym or something, but I think it'll be a good idea to get some citizen involvement and.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Well, listen,
Support
before we
people.
get there, I'd like to have some idea of what the cost would be of
Exactly.
what, like the gymnasium. And of
Everything.
course, once again, like we go, give me this. I think we need to get a little more than like, we just give a guesstimate here. And once we get some numbers on all of this, then if you want to form a committee, I'm good with it, but you really need to know what the cost is of this thing. So maybe you can get together with Weeks and go by this and with the other thing that Sylvie's talking about and come up with some prices. Even if it's between this and this, it's okay. You know what I mean? And listen, a lot of times, and Dave can attest to this, and we talk about the different projects, and Stephen's been in there, and Sylvia's been in there as deputy supervisors, that, going to get one bid. So to me, it's very important. I need to have some idea what the number is.
Oh, and the prices will change, from year
I
to year.
got you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But I mean, if we're gonna do something and this will be this year, this will be this year, okay, once we get to this year, maybe the price will change, but
Absolutely.
that first bunch of things that you do, that price is what it is.
Oh, no, absolutely. But just
Okay.
to Stephen's concern is what can you do out there? What's smart to
Mhm.
do out there?
Yeah.
Where exactly?
All right, so Matt, you and Eve get together with Weeks and let's see what
Yeah, we'll
some of
get
these numbers,
some
I'll talk to him too.
costs, yeah.
I wanna get him going. All right, Matt, I think you and Stephen Vedetti are making some kind of presentation, number 8, this Placer software, right?
Yeah, that's
So
correct.
can you move closer to the microphone when you talk?
I'm just on my laptop. I don't really have a microphone.
go.
Oh,
That
sounds better.
It's his,
Okay.
That's better. Go
his
ahead.
headset.
So yeah, it's a software. Steve came, he saw and he put towards my attention. And I met with the guy on a Zoom call, and initially, and I thought it was really something that would be beneficial to me in recreation, but also if it could be used for other departments in the town, I think it would be excellent too. But I'll let you guys talk on that. For recreation, for me, it would be really beneficial. It helps track like how many people come to your parks or your facilities, also your events, where they come from, where they go after they leave. Are they coming from home? Are they coming from work? Things like that. So for me, an event is always, especially our big event is Community Day, and we drive that a lot on sponsorships. And this really gives me the ammunition to get our sponsors when we've always estimated how many people we had come to our events, but this gives you hard numbers. And, when we generate sponsorship money based on the amount of people come, because the sponsors will get seen, it helps us bring in a lot more revenue for sponsorships, which we can in turn, save the taxpayer dollars by not using it for our events. It is costly if it was just for me, but if it can be used for other departments, when me, I mean recreation, if it could be used for other departments, then maybe it was something we can consider. But just for recreation, I know it is a lot of money. I'll let Steve talk a little bit on that. He has the packet. But I think it would definitely be very useful in what we do, and in this development that we're talking about for our park too, to this master wish list or plan. This really could help with that as well. Like, what in terms of traffic patterns, and where you would put an exit if you're trying to get to different parts of your building, the park, where you would want to put an exit or parking or things like that. It has that functionality that it would be beneficial to new development as well.
So what was this, 24,000? Is that what I remember?
Yeah, so it's 24,000 for the year, and it gives unlimited use within the town. Anybody that works has a town email address could use this. I know Steve, wanted to talk a little bit about how we think we might be able to help the local businesses, which I thought was a good idea. Steve, I don't know if you want to explain a little bit of how it could do that.
So we had saw this, Matt, myself and Patrick sat down and did a little webinar with this guy. Like Matt had touched on Community Day. They said we had 12,500 people here, which is probably around about what we kind of figured. I think it's cell phone or cellular based on where they're getting this data from. It tells you how many people came from New Windsor area, went to it. It tells you how many people left here, and if they went to New Windsor and went to different stores, if they went to Newburgh, Cornwall, whatever. What I thought was really fascinating, they did National Night Out for us, but we asked the guy if he could take a couple of businesses. We took one of the local businesses, Capri, here in town, and said, maybe, we don't, local businesses come to town. What can we do to retain them? What we can do to help them at least stay in business? Some of these little places probably don't have tracking like this. I'll give you, for instance, Capri had over a certain amount of time, they had 767 visitors from New Windsor, 288 from the town of Newburgh, 154 from Highland Mills, Cornwall, so on and so forth. They can tell what days they're closed. So I think maybe for advertisement and for them to target their guests, if you will, we could maybe offer these to the local businesses as well. Again, it's $24,000. It's something that's not budgeted this year, so my request was maybe to us put it in the budget. If it gets approved, maybe offer it next year. And we can, in the meantime, if we think we're going to do it, we'll put it out to the businesses. Say, listen, we have this app. We're willing to help you to do, for advertising or targeting their folks. Again, we don't do much for the businesses while they're here. I think this would be something that'll help them, with their tax money. We can use it for sales tax estimates, if you will, kind of give us a little idea. They can use it for retail recruitment, transportation infrastructure. Like Matt said, the events analysis for our Christie Babcock Park. If we want to make this a lot bigger, we can use a lot of these numbers. Matt's his tournaments, you can see spike on this. So it's I don't know. It's a pretty good thing. I think we should. I don't know if you guys would consider it. We talk about it, maybe budget it and go from there.
So the local businesses, you would offer them to jump onto our subscription?
Yeah. So I think it's something that they would get a username and password, right, Matt? How it would work?
Well, they would have to have a town email. So I would think it would be something like my department could help with. They could, we could access it or put it together for them.
It would cost them, or?
No, I mean, I was me personally. I was thinking about doing it for them for the cost of them.
A perfect example is like a lot of these small businesses will get like a coupon mailer. There's different ones that you see, and you have to pay for like different geographical areas. So you'll say like Newburgh or Cornwall, or this will give them an idea. Like, I don't know, businesses might think they know where their customers are coming from, but you don't really know exactly. And it shows you exactly where they're coming from. So someone might think, that more customers are coming from, Newburgh when they're really not. They can target that area on the coupon mailer and try to drive business that way. I just thought it was really interesting, you would just, sometimes you think, like we thought we knew National Night Out was successful, first time we ever did it, but we saw the numbers, it was, and we had, 60% of the people that came were from New Windsor, which was, we didn't know where they were coming from. And this just gave us the hard facts, it was the first time we did it, and it showed us exactly where they came from and where they went. What's great things about tournaments, I've been saying for years, our local tournaments, the baseball and softball tournaments are generating revenue in our town businesses, because people go to gas stations, people go to hotels, people go to restaurants when they're in New Windsor for these tournaments. This proved that I was right, and it was actually even better than I ever thought. It just shows you, where they're going after they leave the park, and it was, it shows you, ShopRite and Hannaford and the restaurants in town, the diners and things like that. They're spending money at the Sit-Go and the different gas stations, and it was
Well,
right. It was even better than I ever imagined.
The Sitco one we did, you can tell this is the one over by the old Distinta, and they had just opened up and they did a deal on gas, and wouldn't believe the amount of people that came from all over the place just to get the gas. And then after the deal went away, it died down to a lot of New Windsor people going there. So, they can know where to market just from that.
It's just by the telephone area code?
I believe
that they
it's their.
Is that how it works?
Yeah, it's cell phone tracking basically.
Yeah,
So if you're ever a criminal, I would suggest leaving your phone at home, because they know exactly, where you're going, where you're coming from, when you leave the area where you went to, whether you're going home or you're going out to somewhere. It's amazing.
Let me
and
ask
it's
you
a
this.
little scary at the same time.
Matt, someone moves here from Brooklyn or New Jersey, and they have an area code from there.
It doesn't have to do with area code, George.
The data, yeah, so.
Yeah, it's more your what is it called on the phone when you have it where it could location services. It's called location services, yeah.
He had a tournament, the people were from Albany, and it showed a lot of people come here and then went to Albany afterwards, so that's how they knew.
What?
It was a,
The app on their phone?
All right.
No.
no.
And
No, it's any app on your phone basically that has location services on. They can get the information off of
I
that.
don't think you need it, because there's a triangular pings that you can find cell phones
Right.
on
Yeah.
triangles, right? It's a
turn
top
off,
thing.
even if
So
you turn
I,
off.
again, it's just a program that we could offer, we could use it here in town. Like Matt said, not just for recreation, other departments can use it. I know the police department can use it for, strategy on whether it be traffic concerns and how many guys need to hire and so on and so forth for a detail. But, certainly it may be offered to local businesses just to try to retain them or help them out a little.
All right.
This also could be used. This also could be. Sorry, George. This also could be used by our police department. Like, say they want to see where the highest traffic is on Halloween night. To see if that's.
Steven just said that.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't.
So you gotta pay attention, man. It goes fast.
Right.
All right, so listen, I just gave all the information to the board today, so I'm gonna bring it back again. If have some, who has a chance to look at it.
Okay.
And there's two options here. I think Steve has brought both of them up already, that if you are in favor of this, then we can either try and find the money now or budget it for 2024. So
George,
look
could
at it.
Parkland funds? Could
What?
Parkland funds be used for this? Could
Yeah,
Parkland
you
funds
could,
be
yeah,
used for
yeah.
something?
I think so. You can make a case for that. But let me get the board, let the board have some time to kind of read through this and then come back. I've heard a good presentation from Stephen and you. And then I'll put it on a workshop in July. We'll see what they think. How's that?
Great. Thank you.
All right. Excuse me?
We knew that one, do we do that? The legislative, remember the senior, and the $5,000 from the county
Yeah, what about
for
it?
seniors?
I never saw it.
Oh, that was the one that.
Yeah, this is
Okay.
from Menuda? What
Yeah,
happened with
that
it?
was we're gonna get it.
Okay,
For the senior program.
okay. You want to talk about it?
No, I'm just, I did, the county does $5,000, their grants, they're
Yeah.
$4,999,
Yeah,
and they
number
can
right.
either use for public safety, parks and recreation programs, activities for seniors in the community and stuff like that. So, Matt put together something to do, purchase a couple TVs for both community and Marasco Center for the seniors. They want a bigger TV where they can use USB and Wi-Fi and stuff like that. And I think you're gonna get some furniture, new furniture for the seniors and stuff, right?
Yeah, so I put some tables and chairs because they're in bad shape up there. So hopefully we'll be able to get some new tables and chairs out of the grant as well.
So this money is coming?
Yes.
It sounded like it's pretty sure, yeah, it sounded like
Yeah,
pretty
it's
definite.
guaranteed. It's just we need to give it to them. with the-
All right, so this is Joey Menuda, right? Getting
Yeah,
this?
yeah.
And listen, we just got that huge grant of $495,000 for the Resco Center, right? That job is finished, done?
Correct.
Or get our grant, so we kind of have taken care of the seniors pretty good here. You know, that a long overdue upgrading that, and we have upgraded it. All right, we're gonna go to executive session now, so Danny, say goodbye to everybody.